Angelic Healing Certificate Part 9. This time you are in charge. So it's up to you now. You're going to do the all full steps. And I would like you to create a field of energy with divine light and reaching 80% of your abilities in terms of intensity. Do it now. You've got 40 seconds. All right, 40 seconds is up. Maybe you're finished, maybe you're not. Maybe you've been stressing. The whole purpose of this activity was to be able for you to find out if you were able to handle all of that by yourself, and also to feel what your emotions were during that time period. And as you complete this work, if you are not having finished yet, I'm still going to be explaining you a few things. Otherwise, if you do have your Vortex set up there, just maintain it at 80% and be sure that you perceive all those different changes and particles moving inside of your body related to this field of energy. Now, more than creating the field of energy, what counts is in what state were you? In which state were you? Were you stressed? Were you emotional stable? Were you totally aligned? Were the thoughts coming back again and again in your mind? What were the 3 things that you still need to be working on? Is it your own stability? Is it your mind and thoughts spinning all the time? And was it your emotions? Whether your emotions coming on the way and not for you being able to let them apart or releasing them prior to creating this field of energy. There is always something on which we can work and get better at. So that's one thing that you really have to know and to understand. The second thing is you have to be gentle with yourself. You don't want to push it too hard. This is why right now we are working at 80% of your intensity, and we don't want to be working always at 100%. Because the rule number whatever is that what counts is how much intensity you need. It's not about how much intensity you can deliver, you can create and manifest. Do some tasks, to accomplish some tasks, sometimes you do have to be working with a milder intensity. Sometimes you have to be working with a greater intensity. Sometimes you might feel that your limits are not enough in order to be able to break through this, whatever event you're working on. This time you will need to bring your creativity, your ingenuity in the process, connecting back to your soul and asking for more information, for more downloads, to find another way around. And I give you one example. When you want to grow a plant, and each farmer knows that, you have to put a certain amount of nitrates, phosphate, and whatever, magnesium or whatever. You have to bring certain doses in your mix. And if you don't bring the exact amount, in the right proportions, all the left is not going to be used, and it's going to down to the rivers. What I'm saying is, you might have to be working with different types of frequencies as a sequence in order to be able to go through something. You might have to first take care of some emotions. Then you might have to center and bring one person to its own soul. And then bring back more joy. And then again taking care of the sadness that comes up. And then build up the self-confidence. And when you work on bringing joy and bringing self-confidence, what tools do you think you're going to be using? A field of energy, a vortex. You can also the same way understand that when we created the white fog from one of your shoulders that was in pain or another place of your body, what do you think that was? Of course, it was a vortex, a specific one, a specific program, a subcategory of it. It is a field of energy that has the shape of a fog, is being created and nurtured by whatever energy is anchored inside of your pain, physical body, or emotions, transforming it into a white fog outside of the body, and then having as a life purpose to get lighter and lighter, whiter and whiter, get thinner and thinner, breaking down into fine tiny particles to be used again as pure energy. This whole full process is a program because you have been creating it. The white bubbles coming out of your mind when you've got your thoughts, those are even more specific programs, focusing only on thoughts, associating the thoughts to bubbles, which by association the mind realizes that, yeah, it could be an idea. They consider that the bubble could be a physical idea, and that would be making sense for the mind to accept this process of releasing those thoughts. Wow. That far? Yes. Yes. The more simple the concept, the more elaborated it is. Each person in marketing field will tell you that. The easier you get it, the more time and energy and thought you've been putting into, or the more intuitively connected you were when you created it. You start to understand the concept that we are blending all different connections from all different angles. We're talking about agriculture, we're talking about finance, we're talking about marketing, we're talking about science. All of this is one. Everything is just one. Personal development, wealth, building on your physical aptitudes, working on your DNA enhancements, all of that is part of one. All of this as a core in knowing what you want, what you really want in life. Now you remember that you're still under this field of energy, and you're going to boost it to 85%. Good. If you were to taking notes of all those different steps, all those different kind of mini workshops we've been doing during each video, you will realize that each single of those mini workshops were part of the whole full structure that were encoding you in different sequences, activating you, enhancing your capacities for you to be here and there where you are right now, being able to deal with your own field of energy. Good. You do understand that you are in charge of this field of energy, and that this field of energy, as soon as it's finished, that you finished working with it, you bring it back to your own soul, on your own shelf. You are in charge of those tools. But by being in charge, you're also being responsible. Each time you do create a field of energy and you do work on a field of energy, there is your signature on it. Each person will do its work with its own signature. Ask two people to write the same sentence on a piece of paper, with the same pencil, with the same type of paper. They're going to have their own handwriting, depending on their mood, depending on what they've been learning. And guess what? When you create your field of energy, you do it your own way, even though you're respecting all the rules that someone told you and guidances that someone gave you. Which means that whatever work that you do on energy fields, you're leaving behind your signature on it. For this, you are responsible for what you're doing. This is why I want you to understand that you are now an actor in your own life. You are able to change, to manifest, to make edits in your own life. And the more precise your work, the more precise you're going to be in your own life. I've seen people saying, well, my handwriting is not great. I was the first one saying that, saying, well, I could have been a doctor, or I should have been a doctor, because I already had the handwriting of it. Guess what? We can change that as well. You can change your behaviors, you can change your patterns by being first aware of what needs to be tweaked, by bringing a will into this process, and by repetition. And then you're going to be able to check and make controls and edits all the time. So you be working in a loop, always checking your improvements and redefining your goals, increasing your will, and keep working on repetitions again and again, and checking again. This is the way you're going to increase your work through time. This is the way you're going to be able to create your own programs and say, you know what? Once a week, I want to create a field of energy to be working on one specific topic. And it's going to be a program that I'm going to be running for 10 minutes, for 3 minutes, for 2 seconds. Again, it's not about the length. It's not about how many repetitions you're going to be doing. It's about the intensity. This intensity that will be connected to your will, to your GPS, to your heart, to how much you wish and you desire that change or that implementation. I want you to feel connected to it. because it is important. Now, push it to 90%. Push this intensity to 90%. Good. Now let's talk about self-belief. You visualize a straight line, and you know that there is one tree each 20 meters. And you keep running on that straight line. And as soon as you pass in front of one tree, you know that you still have to run for 20 meters before you go towards the next tree. So if you want to increase, you have to go faster. And you have to go faster, etc., etc. And you know that at one point you will reach your own personal limit. And then you will have to use time to do more distance. Now, what if you change the rules, you bend the rules, you still run at the same speed, but the environment that you were running, you shrink the distance. You shrink the scale of the distance. Meaning, the trees are always 20 meters apart from each other. On the scale. But it only takes you 10 meters of your own pace to do it, half less. You're going to say, whoa, John, put a pause there. Yeah. Why do you have to respect the same rules for each thing that you're doing? Why don't you consider that the environment that you are in, you can bend the rules? And you're going to tell me, well, John, that's me running on a straight line. How does this affect my work? I just doubled your ability to increase your intensity just with that concept. Call it relativity. Call it an idea. Call it an upgrade. Call it whatever you want. At the end of it, it still works. And it works because your beliefs have changed. Because in your mind you were able to create new tools. And those tools make sense in your mind because you have seen them. What we have just done is creating a new program, a new mind program, linked to a new belief that we can bend laws of physics. Yeah. Now let's apply this to your second button, the intensity one. And let's do a copy-paste program from what we have learned as a belief system with this line, straight line of trees and us running towards one to the other. And now this intensity button And instead of having a straight line, well, this line is just like a spiral. It's us moving along this line of intensity. But now, each time we turn the intensity, we do understand that we're still running at our own pace, but the intensity is double because we're able to do it, because we're still running at the same speed. That's called an upgrade. Let's make it happen. Stay focused on your crystal ball, and let's increase it. Wow, the intensity is much, much greater, isn't it? And you thought that you were at 90% of your capacities? We're already at more than 140 already of your initial capacities, believed capacities. And let's hold on it there. We are over 157% of your capacities. And as you can feel, feels good. Wow. I know what you're thinking. I know exactly what you're thinking. What if we do reapply the same concept to the actual setting that we just made, and we double what we've been doubling already? You got it. I told you, our belief system always evolves. We are the one putting out and creating our own limitations. Wow, isn't that freaky? You're going to tell me, John, how come no one is using those tools and those techniques? Well, many people are, but very few are sharing it. How do you explain that one person suddenly works from one work and from one job and suddenly just jumps to another one without any experience in that field, and he's successful in it? How do you think he got there in the first place? How was he able to integrate that fast all that knowledge? Because he's been learning how to behave in a new environment. And that's what he has been learning. Being able to dissociate every single task and how to learn, and then copy-pasting this to any new environment that he is in. The words may be different. The language might be different. The tools might be different. But at the end, there is always one goal to achieve or several goals to achieve and different ways to achieve them. How do you explain that some people do create companies like that? How do you explain that Warren Buffett, for example, Tony Robbins are so successful? Of course, there are pros and cons in each system and for each person, but you still cannot deny their success and their achievements. How are they able to do all of that? Because they do believe that there is no limitation. Take any single thing that you want to be working on. And by the way, you're still at 157% of your capacities in this field of energy, just so you know. So you're still embracing this field of energy as we talk. How do they do it? They do it by believing in themselves, and that's how they make it happen. They do it by changing the rules all the time. They do it by working on the actual structure of company that they have, but at the same time working on the vision that they've got for their company. And they're always having those two companies' visions that they work on simultaneously. The actual company and the company where they want it to be. The dream company. And they always create bridges between where they are to where they want to go. And that's the secret. If you don't know where you want to go, then it's not possible to go there. But if you keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, then you break through. What do you think happens with high school? You've got teachers, you've got resources, you've got friends, you've got peers, you've got everything pushing you to acquire the minimum average in order to pass. How do you explain that some just blow that and just go way beyond that? And some are finding it so difficult just to reach it. Do you really think it is only linked to our initial gifts and abilities? Is it linked as well to our self-beliefs and self-esteem and self-confidence? How could this happen? How could you be able to make it work? Well, let's take an example. You working at whatever amount per hour. And you do believe that if you want to work more and to make more, if you want to make more, you have to work more. Well, don't you think that could be changed as well? Don't you think you can tweak this as well? People talk sometimes about passive income, about another source of income, about a new event that you could be doing and making 15 grand in one single event, and you could do this once or twice a year. My grandfather used to tell me that the most difficult part was to reach the first $1 million. And everything would just unfold from there. Again, that's another belief. Yes, it does open a lot of doors as soon as you get $1 million. But if you do believe on that, you're always going to be sad about getting that first $1 million. What if you change your own beliefs? You do understand that we are far way beyond the actual creation of a field of energy. Because everything is linked to our own beliefs, our own thoughts, our own acts, our own projects, our own visions. You have to understand that. You've got an amazing tool in your hands. And now, you have to learn to discover what to do with it. And you're going to tell me, John, is this tool the Vortex? No. So what is it? Didn't you get into this in order to get the Vortex? Yeah, the Vortex is part of it. What you got is your imagination, your ability to create and to manifest. That's what we've been developing since day one. Because from there, you can create any tools you want. When I play with my hands like that, I do visualize that I expand your auric field. I visualize that your auric field is within my hands and I'm expanding it. I'm visualizing that much that I can feel some tractions from my own cells being pulled like magnets between my two hands as I expand this field of energy for you. It becomes real. And because it becomes real, and because I make it real, because I accept it to be real, it becomes your own reality as well. Our beliefs, our imagination contribute to what we do create. And this is how we do interact with others in their own belief system, in their own reality. How far does that go? Again, it is endless. There is no limit. There is no limit of your own imagination. Emotions. Always working on your own emotions. Releasing those emotions. Helping them to be transformed, to be healed, to let go, to accept the change. Physical pains. You will always have tensions coming towards you as soon as you keep increasing your field of energy. You have to accept that. The person you were yesterday is different than the person you are today, and will be far different from the person you are going to be tomorrow. The vision that you have of yourself of tomorrow is going to be changed and altered from what you will have experienced today. You always have to keep upgrading the vision of who you are and who you want to be in the best way possible from what you learn. Again, it is not a competition about defining how far you can go and how much you can make or how big your house is. No. It's about defining what are your values. Your values are the same with your field of energy. What is the purpose of you choosing to go for this course? There we go. Back to stage one. What was the moment where you decided to go for this course? What enticed you to say yes to this program in the first place? Was it because you wanted to acquire new skills? Was it because you wanted to go for increasing your personal awareness? Was it because you wanted to use this tool in order to bring more wealth into your life? Was it because you wanted to get away from your own life? Was it because you wanted to heal something within you? Now that you remember the initial starting point of this journey, would you answer the same way to this initial question now that you went through all this course? Or was it still the same? I told you. Events structure who we are. They structure our thoughts, our beliefs, our values, our visions, our perceptions of ourselves. Now, knowing all of this, with confidence and faith, Let's increase to 400% of our capacities by increasing the intensity of this field of energy. Progressively, you're going to feel and to see auric field. You might feel a thin layer around my hand, around my head, around my shoulders. And you might feel the same thing around yours. I heard that. I know you can feel it. How amazing is that? We just started from 80% of your capacity of intensity. We boosted until 157%, and right now we are 400%. What just happened? You just did a breakthrough through your own limitations, beliefs. Accessing to resources that so far you never tapped into. How amazing is that? How powerful is that? Now remember, you will only use this intensity if you feel that you have to. But for some specific task, you won't have to. It doesn't mean that you will never have to. And to be honest, I will definitely suggest that you find many opportunities for you to be able to use those 400% and way beyond. Imagine how much energy you have to put into finding yourself grounded, focused on your crystal ball in order to be able to hold such high frequency. Progressively, you will find yourself reaching not 400% of your initial capacity, but 4,000%. Again, the sky is the limit. The only thing that we would like you to be aware of is what is the purpose of you doing this. If the only purpose for you doing this is personal enlightenment, you will reach a plateau very soon. At one point, your own soul is going to be not thirsty anymore for all of that. What's the point of reaching 400%, 4,000%, 40,000% or whatever if you are not able to do anything with it, if you are not able to change your own physical body as well? Yes, I do one point. Whatever you eat will influence as well on your capacities. I can tell you, eat as much as you want of everything you want. But I cannot guarantee that if you keep practicing these exercises with this field of energy, that you will still be willing to keep eating junk food. Your body at one point will say no to that. Or what about soft drinks? You will start to feel that inside of your body there are chemical reactions that are taking place, and those chemical reactions are not serving you for the best purpose in your life and personal development. Now, I'll let you bring down this intensity progressively, and remember to close your field of energy as well. Let your body be at rest as well. You probably will feel as well that your heart is pulsing a little bit faster as well. So let all of this settle in, and everything will be just fine. Again, be centered and focused. I wish you all the best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.